Hey photographers, welcome to Mexico, where the RX100 Model 7 along with Kim and I are on holiday. Now neither this trip or this review are sponsored, we traveled on our own credit cards. And we have been to Playa Mujeres before, we're a little further up the beach at Majestic Elegance in Costa Mujeres. Always nice to get away from winter, even if it's only for a week. And it's nice to pack something small when traveling, so the 7 makes a good travel companion. Sunny beaches and resorts seem designed for photography, so it's a good time to show you the what and the how of the RX100 Model 7. Now, you can assume that you have to give up something to get a camera this small, but you do get full manual control, an electronic viewfinder and LCD monitor, raw files, 4K video, and full-sized SD cards. You don't get interchangeable lenses. This is an integrated Zeiss branded lens with a 9 to 72 millimeter focal length. In 35 millimeter equivalents, it's 24 to 200. And a sensor that, while it's smaller than the standard camera sizes, is substantially bigger than a phone or typical point-and-shoot model. But with its control set, it's anything but. This is one of the most capable cameras I've ever used. The 1-inch type sensor has a 20 megapixel resolution, has a fast readout, and a very fast burst. You'll see. It certainly is a compact camera. Even with the battery and memory card, it's barely over 300 grams. The release pops up the viewfinder and powers the camera. The viewfinder is a 2.3 million dot OLED. The -4 to +3 diopter suits my prescription, so I can shoot glasses free. It's small but clear, and even with my glasses, I can see the entire image. Press down to close and power off the camera. The 7 can also be powered up and shut down using the on-off button on the top panel. The lens extends quickly to be ready to shoot. The shutdown takes a little longer, especially when the lens is zoomed in. When turned on, the lens resets to wide, 24 millimeter. The lens zooms using the lever on the shutter dial, but you can customize the ring on the lens to zoom also. The reason to prefer this is the nice display for the equivalent focal length. But let's take a minute for a more detailed look at all the zoom functions, because this camera, like many Sony cameras, offers much more than it seems. The lens zooms optically, and the menu enables a digital zoom function. Although these do degrade the quality, you certainly don't have to push them to their limits. There's a clear zoom, which further extends the lens's reach up to 2 times with minimal artifacts, and the digital zoom setting, which reaches further up to 4 times, but with perceptibly lower quality. One more setting is enabled as a custom key. Smart Telecon, when pressed, provides the equivalent of a 1.4 and 2 times teleconverter. There's more. The zoom speed can be adjusted, with one menu option for the zoom lever, standard and fast, another for the lens ring, standard, fast, and stepped, when you want a specific focal length. I keep hoping they'll add slow. What the lens is missing is a filter ring. Particularly for video, that would be nice to have, as there's no integrated ND filter on this model. There is an integrated pop-up flash that can be tilted for softer light if required. The screen is a 7.5 centimeter 921K dot touch LCD. It tilts up all the way to face forward, down 90 degrees for overhead shooting. Since we're on holiday, I'm connecting the camera to my phone with Bluetooth and setting both the time and location to sync from the phone to the camera. Now, like many cameras, Sony's default settings don't take full advantage of this model, but I intend to, so let's fix that. I'm turning the JPEG quality to extra fine and adding the RAW file format. But note that with RAW, JPEG reverts to fine. For video, I'm upping to 4K and 30 frame, 100 megabit. Since we're in Mexico, I'm turning the auto power off temp from standard to high. I turn auto review on, 2 seconds, touch is on, but I also like to use the LCD as a touchpad with the viewfinder. I'm optioning the shutter to start and stop video in video mode, as I find the red button tricky. But why is this not with the other custom keys? Let's start by exploring some of the menu's fun features, like panorama, which is being removed from the mode dial on other recent Sony models. Although wide takes the longest image, for the largest image, select wide and down and turn the camera sideways. Pan to take the images, which the camera stitches together. The final result is 5536 by 2160, about 12 megapixels. Also being removed from other models are some of the picture effects, including several like HDR painting, watercolor, and illustration that I enjoy. These are not compatible with RAW, and processing isn't instant, so you do get locked in, but sometimes worth it. You can also have fun with the smile shutter. It can be activated for slight, big, or normal smiles. Then when smiles are detected, it takes an image. There are multiple ways to capture a wide dynamic range. The Auto HDR, also not RAW compatible, combines several exposures to create an image with up to 6 stops. If that exceeds your needs or your tolerance, the D-Range Optimizer provides up to 3 levels, but you may not need these at all. I found the native dynamic range combined with auto exposure better than average. That's particularly noticeable in dark scenes with a bright object. The light areas are not overexposed as they so often are. And for a small sensor, the higher ISOs are more usable than you expect. Only at 12,800 does noise and mush become noticeable. And if picture effects are too much, the color profiles, creative styles, offer more subtle color enhancements. These are kind of the usual selection of presets, but this is a larger set than most. You'll appreciate these more if you read the manual. Clear, for instance, provides clear tones and limpid colors. And Deep provides dense colors to capture the solid presence of objects. The light setting provides a refreshingly light ambiance, making me thirsty. And I'm taking the liberty of using sunset for sunrise scenes. Hope that's okay. They can all be subjected to further fine-tuning, like increasing the saturation. Now, if you want black and white, it's here, and these are RAW compatible, so when you don't like your choice, you can redo it later. But not in camera, as there's no playback RAW processing provided here. All of the creative styles and many of the picture effects work for video also, others will dim out. While video is fun, switch to HFR to explore slow and extreme slow motion effects. In HFR, the record setting is actually the playback rate. The frame rate is the recording frame rate. The 960 frame recording played at 30 will provide 32 times slow motion, but all HFR rates are silent. Settings range from 4 times to 40 times slow, and it's a slightly complicated process. Set your exposure, focus, then enter standby mode and press the red button to start. The shutter option doesn't work here. The video is captured and then saved, which takes time. The time limits are fairly extreme, and the resolution captured varies with the settings. To change the settings, press the button to exit standby. For the other direction, use the interval timer to create a series of still images. For video, I select a video size and aspect before shooting, set intervals from 1 to 60 seconds and up to 999 images. Use Sony's free Imaging Edge app or your preferred video editor to create the time-lapse video. Focus is impressive, and the 7 has pretty much the same focus capabilities, settings, and features as Sony's top-of-the-line models. The Fun menu is the simplest way to select the mode, single, continuous, or auto-auto, which switches from single to continuous when movement is detected. Manual and direct manual, which auto-focuses and then allows manual adjustment. The wide focus area covers the whole screen, with fast-moving focus spots identifying and focusing an object. For more precision, choose Zone, which reduces the focus area, and then move the area using touch or the control wheel cursor. Center is non-sizable and non-movable. Oh, and this lens focuses as close as 8 centimeters, which is very useful at dinner. For greater accuracy, the flexible spot with 3 sizes, medium, large, and small, can be moved using touch or the cursor, and this really shows the flexibility and the precision of the focus area. And regardless of which you select, it's fast. Very fast. That's even more obvious when you switch to continuous and select tracking, and select any of the area sizes. A soft press now locks on and follows the subject. I'll get back to this when we look at burst mode. While all of these modes work well for human subjects, there's face eye detect. Like on the big sister models, Kim's face is identified quickly as she approaches. A soft press locks onto her eyes. Options here select a specific eye, left or right, and you can switch the detection from human faces to animals. On holiday, I prefer to use the auto modes. They usually provide the results I want, and the mode dial makes it easy to switch from full auto to program, where I can adjust the exposure compensation. And if you leave scene set to sports, it shoots burst with a turn of the dial. But there are more ways to configure the 7 to change between different settings. Configure the camera the way you want, then use memory. 16 screens show all the settings you're storing. Then store in one of the 3 in-camera settings or 4 more stored on the SD card. To recall, turn the dial to the MR position, then select the right one. I find this the best way to switch between my usual stills and usual video settings. Now, while it's nice to use the auto modes, they don't always deliver the results you want or expect. Like white balance, which particularly in dark incandescent scenes may not be as white as you like. The white balance priority selects either a whiter balance or one that more fully captures the ambience. In program mode, select alternatives, which also provide a properly exposed image using the control wheel. Or auto ISO. You can set a maximum, and in program or aperture priority modes, you can set the lowest shutter speed before auto ISO engages. And there's a setting to prefer a faster shutter speed and a higher ISO or a lower ISO with a slower shutter. The standard settings for this aperture priority scene at f4 would be ISO 1000 at 1/30th. Switch to faster for 1/25th with an ISO of 4000. Or slower for an ISO of 250 with a shutter of 1/8. This makes auto ISO much more useful. When the dial is at M, the camera's in manual mode for full control of aperture and shutter. The bottom right of the screen shows which dials to use. By default, the dial on the lens sets the aperture, and the back control dial sets the TV, time value, or shutter speed. We customized it to zoom, so switch the control dial between aperture and shutter by pressing down. The lens opens to f2.8, ramping to f4.5 as you zoom. It closes to f11. Shutter from 1/32,000 to 30 seconds, and bulb in manual. Press the garbage can key to set the ISO 100 to 12,800 and 2 extended lower settings. These 2 are not available in video. The drive modes include 3 burst speeds, low, mid, and high. This is with the shutter set to auto. In mechanical, high is not available. Shutter sounds are on, but this could be silent. There are 2 display settings for burst. Start disp blacks out for the first image. Timing disp selects the frame that's displayed while shooting a burst. Type 4 are light squares in the corners of the screen. You'll see. I tested extra fine JPEGs to a V90 card with manual settings. While shooting, the upper left remaining frame display updates. High captures an amazing 20 images per second, for 9 seconds before slowing to about 3 per second. After the burst, the writing to card status counts down the images as they're written. A full 152 image buffer takes nearly a minute to clear, even with V90. Many functions can't be accessed while this happens. Combined with tracking, the focus follows the train until face detect kicks in, and then it gets to the lens's closest focus distance. Now, there are 100 images in this 5-second sequence. You can see the focus change by watching the pales in the back, but the train and then the conductor always in focus. And then there are single burst settings, also low, mid, and high. And this is a new feature and captures 7 images at very high speeds. Low captures those 7 frames at a rate equivalent to 30 frames per second. Mid is 60 and high speed is 90. That's 0.011 seconds between frames and a total shooting time under 0.07 seconds. I got in the pool to demo that. These are the 7 frames of a low sequence. This is the mid sequence and the high sequence. There's so little movement in the splashing water. This is very fast. In playback, burst images are shown as a stack. Press Expand to view the individual frames, and then press Disp to see the image setting detail. To send the image to a phone or a tablet, use Sony's Imaging Edge app. Press the Fun button to activate the Send feature, select 1 or more images. The app can also be used as a remote control, using the Control with Smartphone setting. Use the red button to record video from the other modes, or select Video on the mode dial, which displays the 16:9 video aspect ratio and activates audio and the on-screen audio meters. Use the menu to select a video exposure mode and to set the format as well as the frame and data rate up to 100 megabits in 4K at 30 and 24 frames. HD goes up to 50 at 60, 30, and 24 frames. 25 frame based rates are available if you switch the camera to PAL or vice versa. 120 frame at 100 megabit is available in HD. You could slow that down to 5 times at 24 frames, which you might prefer over the HFR feature. The 7 can capture stills while shooting video. It's called Dual Record in the menu. Choose the quality and image sizes up to 17 megapixels. There's an auto setting to take photos automatically, usually when faces are detected. There's no explicit time limit to video recordings. It's limited by card space or maybe temperature. You may be worried about overheating, but the manual suggests that with auto power off at high, even at 40 degrees Celsius, 20 minutes of 4K should be possible. The flip-up screen makes it suitable for vlogging. And while there is a mic input, there's no flash shoe to mount an on-camera shotgun. While you may not consider it for serious video production, the 7 does have a usable steady shot mode. These scenes were taken with active. Intelligent active isn't available in 4K. Sony does include all of its best video features, including picture profiles, with the full set of S-Log and HLG settings. There's timecode and support for external recorders and monitors with the same feature set as Sony APS-C and full-frame models, and with the same odd issues. For example, HDMI info display isn't available in 4K. In 4K, the image disappears from the camera screen when you start recording, but way more features than you'd expect. Now, battery life is less than average, and in recognition of that, Sony provided 2 batteries with the review unit. I suggest that's a good idea. The camera can be charged and powered using USB. Now, please remember to keep shooting until your memory card is full and your battery is empty. That's it. Thanks. You know the rest. Civil comments, relevant questions, please subscribe.